To order. Welcome everyone in the room. Welcome everyone at home. This is the Bangor School Committee regular meeting. Today is Wednesday, September 27th. It is right at 7. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda to bring today?
No adjustments, you're awesome.
Thank you. Next, public comments, and just as a reminder, as always, members of the public may address the school committee for up to 3 minutes on school and education matters. Public comments shall be directed to the school committee and be brief and not repetitive. The school committee's practice is not to respond or debate with speakers during the public comment period. We are here to listen. The superintendent or his staff will follow up on comments outside of the meeting as appropriate. The committee will not permit profanity or shouting and request that speakers be civil. Discussion of specific personnel or student matters and complaints concerning specific employees or students will not be allowed, but will be addressed through established policies and procedures. Before speaking, we encourage speakers to review school policy AC, which provides that the committee does not and will not discriminate nor tolerate discrimination against students or employees on the basis of membership in a protected class. Speakers who share comments contrary to this policy will not be allowed to continue. And as always, before starting, please state your name and place of residence.
Good evening. My name is Michael Norton. I'm at 83 Elm Street, Unit C, Bangor. Today's September 27th. Media and web are synonymous to me. So I just want to go back a month and a day to August 26th, 2022. I was on my street in Bangor and I got approached by 4 thugs from all directions, one from behind who picked me up off the pavement and then slammed me onto the pavement. My bicep absorbed the most of it, but my collarbone broke and 7 or 8 ribs broke too. And I was left with them for the next hour and a half and knocked around before beginning to heal. That was August 26, 2022. August 26, 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit landfall on the shores of the South in the Gulf Coast and took out a lot of homes. Millions of people lost power and lives and families. And August 26, 1997, Princess Diana and Dodi Al Fayed got in a car accident in Paris, France, fatally injured. And it's horrible. All of this is horrible. The Princess and Dodi Al Fayed are 2 people on a planet of nearly 8 billion. And 3,500 people die in car wrecks every year in the United States alone. I did a case study on this in my public administration master's course. And I think if we start to focus on reform, media, and web, it'll be a better world for everyone. So I propose to the school committee, please consider maybe next year, September 27th, Media Reform Day. Thank you.
Any other?
Actually have gifts, so tell you about it. I have to confess, I've never been to a Bangor school committee meeting before. Haven't had children, went to Bangor schools till 2nd grade, and then my parents took us out of other schools and put us into St. John's School, which is now All Saints, went to John Baptist, so I apologize. But anyway, I'm here with 2 hats on. First, I'd like to leave with you Journey Magazine. It's Maine's magazine of recovery. And I don't know if you can accept a T-shirt, but I work at Wellspring as the communications director.
Name and
Oh, I'm sorry, Doug Dunbar. And I actually live just over the line into Herman, so I apologize for that too. I'm apologizing for it. Just into Herman, grew up in Bangor, Maple Street, and worked today at Wellspring. So we had a race for recovery a couple of weeks ago, so I brought some T-shirts, if you're able to accept a T-shirt, and a copy of Journey magazine, which is Maine's Recovery magazine, published by my friend Carolyn Delaney down in Southern Maine. But I'm here primarily because a couple of years ago, I started an organization called Penobscot County Cares, and we're focused on 3 crises in this area: housing and homelessness, substance use disorder and overdose deaths, and a rise in mental illness. And one project that we've taken on is to try to encourage schools to have Narcan, which would fit nicely into every teacher's drawer. You must have a drawer, desk and a drawer. And so I know you've all received emails. You'll be hearing more. Hopefully we can find a way to expand what you're doing. Bangor is likely doing better, in my view, than a lot of towns and cities. But given the magnitude of the crisis that a lot of people aren't aware of, we should do more. And Bangor, sadly, is the epicenter oftentimes of the overdose crisis in Maine. 56 people died in Bangor alone last year. Only a few more died in Portland, with more than twice the population. Again and again, we see that overdose deaths is genuinely a crisis in Bangor. And so I just hope to work with you on this with Penobscot County Cares. We can do more. This is free. You can have as much as you want, totally free. It could be in every teacher's drawer, no cost. The training, and I didn't mention the training, I'd like to see, and Penobscot County Cares would like to see every teacher trained, every school employee trained. There's no reason not to. If there was such a thing as a no-brainer, this is it. Because the training is free. It takes about 15 minutes. I assume there's mandatory training for certain things for all employees. Let's do this. And let Bangor be the leader so that Penobscot County Cares and others can go to Brewer, to Hamden, to Herman, to Orono and say, look what Bangor is doing. You need to get on board. So really important. And I just want to let you know that I'm in recovery, grew up in Bangor, spent 30 years working in government. I was Congressman Baldacci's communications director, his campaign manager. I was his press secretary in the governor's office. I was Maine's chief deputy secretary of state. It all ended 6 years ago. I'm going to get done when I went to jail for 4.5 months. And while I was in jail, I realized, my God, what are we doing? Housing and homelessness, substance use disorder, overdose death, mental illness. We have failed. And but there are free things we can do. And this is one of them. It'll cost you nothing. It'll save lives. And more importantly, perhaps not more important than saving lives, most of us will never have to use this. But training everyone will send a message. It'll open eyes. It'll reduce stigma. And that's really important. So I'll leave these for you. Thanks for letting me go over 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just put these here. You can decide what you like to do with them.
Next, we will move on to superintendent's proposals and updates. The first action item is the Altria settlement. Superintendent Taker.
Yes, thank you. Upfront, law group attorneys announced a settlement with final defendants in the Juul e-cigarette litigation. Altria Group Incorporated. The Bangor School Department is eligible to receive a gross offer of $18,796 to resolve its government entity claims against Altria. From that amount, attorney's fees, case cost, and the court-ordered common benefit expense adjustment will be deducted. I'm recommending approval to accept the Altria proposed settlement, and this was the recommendation of our attorney as well.
Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion or questions? Member Sword.
When we receive this money, what are we going to do with it?
We are able to do whatever we want, but my initial thought would be to invest it in what the issue is. So we would be talking about prevention, training, something to do with vaping and tobacco.
Other questions, discussion? No? All in favor?
Motion passes 7-0. Thanks.
You. Next, we have our local delegate to the MSBA Annual Delegate Assembly.
The committee should nominate a local delegate and alternate to the MSBA Annual Delegate Assembly scheduled virtually for October 21st, 2023 at 9:30 a.m. The delegate assembly is responsible for proposed constitution, and bylaw changes, and considers resolutions of the association.
Okay, motion, please. Do we ask for a delegate first and then vote on that? Okay, and I'm wondering if any of you or anyone who's interested. I've done it in the past and it's a wonderful experience. And so anyone volunteering?
I nominate Phuket.
I was looking at her, but.
No, I have a conflict.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
Okay.
a pre-existing meeting.
Okay, any
I retract my nomination.
member Spray, would you be interested?
Sure.
That was an enthusiastic shirt.
Second, second.
All in favor?
It's okay.
Thank you, members.
It's a great learning.
It is a great experience.
I like it.
Look forward to it.
And I think. So next year. Okay, thank you. Next, we have several informational items. The first is grades 4 through 12 PBIS update that we requested last time.
Yeah, this recommendation was made last meeting, so People Services Director Christy Balvin will update the committee on grade 4 through 12, positive behavioral and intervention and support. She's not here, so I think we have a team coming up.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Bye, Dan.
You want,
Huh?
you want the slide up?
Yeah, that'd be great. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Dan Chapman, the principal of Mary Snow School. I have a fantastic team behind me. And we're going to start talking a little bit about PBIS. We'll go 4 to 12. We'll start at grade 4. Representing Mary Snow School and the Fairmount School today. Perfect. Thank you. And you're going to hear a lot about PBIS in the beginning of the year from last year to where we are this year and where we're going to go forward. As far as it represents Mary Snow School, you'll see that these are our team members. We have myself, right behind me here is Erin McCullough. She's our school counselor, a special education teacher from Mary Snow School, Anne Marie Roberts. And this is Shelley Mooring. She's the literacy coach from the Fairmount School who'll be talking after us. That is the rest of our team right there. And at this point, I'm going to let our team leaders from Mary Snow School take over. Go ahead.
All right, so this past year at Mary Snow, we focused really on tier 1 implementation and the beginning phases. We worked together as a team to develop some school-wide expectations, and we focused on our 4 words: respectful, accountable, motivated, and safe. We also had a school climate survey, which we participated in, and based on that, we implemented our RAM awards. Students could receive those awards for being recognized by any staff member for demonstrating respectful, accountable, motivated, and safe behavior. So through that implementation, we've developed a shared purpose throughout our building. We came up with our purpose statement, which was our Mary Snow RAMs are respectful, accountable, motivated, and safe learners. We work together striving for a positive school environment. We've been able to create a common language when talking about behavior and expectations throughout our building with students and staff. We have shared expectations throughout our building, so all staff are using the same language, same expectations for all students. We've had opportunities for students to be recognized by a variety of staff for the positive behavior that they're, demonstrating. And we've also had opportunities to share that with parents through students bringing home their awards. And we also had a newsletter that went home last spring that kind of talked about a little bit of what we've been doing and how students have been recognized. So this year, we're focusing our goal on that 80% of students will demonstrate following school-wide behavior expectations by the end of the 23-24 school year. In addition to our school-wide expectations, we're focusing a lot this year on our classroom expectations, where classroom teachers have really broken down the specifics of their room to develop expectations that are then explicitly taught and reinforced, along with what's already being taught school-wide. We're focusing a lot on data collection using Swiss. We have a training coming up in October for staff so that we're really using that as efficiently as we can be. And then we're using that data at our team meetings to inform our decisions as we're going forward.
Sorry, I jumped in here because I didn't know the transition, but this is Shelley Moore.
Hey, I'm Shelley Warren. So you're probably gonna hear much of what you heard from Mary Snow at Fairmount. We have an awesome team at Fairmount. When we started out, it was a team of 3 of us, and then we opened it up to teachers who wanted to join. And so this year we have an awesome, much larger team, which is really exciting. So last year we began by creating the school-wide matrix, and really beginning to create that common language around our school, recognition of positive behaviors. And we also started a acknowledgement system of grade level and school-wide behaviors. So that's kind of how we started. So this year, this is where we're at. We're going to continue our work with our SOAR matrix, and our SOAR matrix is because we call ourselves the Fairmount Falcons. And one big thing, if you know much about Fairmount, there's a long history of TK drawing, which they call the Terrific Kids. We actually have some teachers that have been at Fairmount that they were part of the TK drawings when they went to school there. So kids come into Fairmount and they're like, I want to be part of the TK drawing. And we didn't really want to change that too much because it's something families and students really look forward to. And so we've made a slight shift. Instead of calling it TK drawings anymore, we're calling them SOAR drawings. And so we've just made the shift. It's still the same things, that students are acknowledged for their behavior. They can put their ticket in the drawing, and then their names are called to win those prizes. Another shift we're trying to make this year is have some of the prizes be not materialistic things, but experiences. So lunch with community members, or lunch with a teacher, certain experiences that they might be excited about. All classrooms are working on creating their own matrix in their classroom, just like you heard at Mary Snow. And teachers are really wanting to do assemblies to recognize and acknowledge the positive behaviors that are happening at Fairmount. So I'd say the most positive impact is that consistency. All teachers and all staff are using similar language with students, and that staff are really approaching behavior as a teachable moment, much like we would teach reading and writing. If students aren't understanding or aren't getting it, then we're reinforcing it with some reteaching. So that's Fairmount.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Warren. I'm the principal at Dowdy, and I'm joined by Randy Allen, who is our PBIS coach. We have, last year, like Fairmount just said, we had a team of 4. We tried to keep it small, but this year we're expanding it to everybody who is interested. We do have a good core team with a mix of, experiences and backgrounds. I'm going to turn things over to Randy because he really knows what he's doing, and I trust him on that. But I brought you each a bulldog buck, and I'm going to want to make sure you get it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice. Thank you.
And similar to the other schools, our first year, we were just focused on developing a framework for school-wide implementation of the PBIS model. So this included like establishing a team that like special ed teachers, regular ed teachers, counselors, as well as administrators. And then we worked to identify a positive school-wide behavior expectation matrix. And because we're the Bulldogs, we went with the acronym BARK, which would be safe, act responsibly, respectful, and kind. And so we then developed that matrix for the school. So the school-wide matrix is based on almost like location. So it's not just the classroom, but it's also in the hallways or the cafeteria or the bathrooms. And then we developed lessons. So we surveyed teachers to see if there was any areas of need. And one of the needs that they came up with first was like hallway behaviors. So we developed a lesson that targeted hallway behaviors that reference the being safe, acting responsibly, respectful and kind. And then we went and established a protocol to use the bulldog bucks to help positively reinforce those expectations. When teachers saw that in the hallway, they would hand a bulldog buck to the student that was exhibiting those positive behaviors. They could then put their name on it, and then they were putting for a raffle or a drawing at another date. So they use those bulldog bucks to reinforce that behavior for the targeted behavior. We then later in the year, we did change behaviors to a different one. So we then had another lesson and then used the bulldog bucks to reinforce that. For this year, we're really focusing on putting that into the classroom. So implementing another matrix that's specific for the classroom. So this one's not really based on location, it's based on activities that you'd see in the classroom. So that would be arriving, whole class instruction, independent work, cooperative learning, and then students departing the classroom. And again, same on that BARC acronym. We're also working to strengthen our data collection so we can make good decisions based on solid data. And that would be reviewing our protocols for Swiss and talking about our definitions for each behavior so people can fill out forms just accurately. We did develop a behavioral management flow chart, and this is basically just an outline for teachers and staff to use to deal with behaviors, whether it be teacher dealing with it, whether it be administrating dealing with it, and it also outlines some tools for teachers to use to be able to manage that behavior in their classroom. And then finally, we're going to have systems to support staff. So multiple trainings, getting staff feedback, and then also recognizing staff for implementing the program. Thank you.
You left me to change the slide here. Okay. All right. Well, good evening, Chair Hoskinen, members of the committee, Mr. Tager. It's my pleasure to speak with you about the work that's being done at William S. Cohen related to PBIS. I want to begin really just by thanking our faculty, our staff, and certainly our students for embracing this work. And it's been really a great start to the year, and surprisingly, we're in the last week of September. So the team is listed up there, but I wanted to take a moment to mention Mrs. Sykes, who's our sixth grade teacher, and she's also our sixth grade team leader, who's here tonight in support of the presentation. But she's also very much working hard and has a lot of great input about PBIS. And actually, tomorrow in our faculty meeting, she's leading kind of the next steps, some of which you will hear tonight. So I wanted to begin by just talking about our acronym, EAGLES. Yes, that is our mascot, but the team worked really, really hard to try to be creative about that word and creating an acronym. So EAGLES for us in our PBIS quest is excellence, accountability, grit, leadership, empathy, and safety. So what happened last year, year one for us, was a tremendous amount of work at the training sessions, offsite, a lot of conversations within the building. The matrix itself was built during the course of the year. So you can see the acronym on the left with the words, and then the team and staff really developed the settings in which we would apply all those specific skills. So as you can see, all environments, classrooms, hallways, cafeteria, bathroom, arrival, and dismissal. So we really worked hard on putting that together. And then what we worked on is from there, teachers took the larger matrix and narrowed it down, if you will, to their specific setting that they can apply the larger matrix to different learning spaces within the building. I wanted to just kind of take a moment well, I guess I'll start with phase one. So really work hard this year on signage in the building. So the matrix is in classrooms, it's in the hallways. So that's a first step. More importantly, in grade level meetings this year on the first day of school, Mr. Ellis and I and staff, we use the matrix to define positive behaviors that we all expect in the building. So that was a little different approach to us. So that was kind of an initial piece of us rolling out the matrix in the meetings. And then from there, the teachers were very explicit in their teaching of the matrix in their classrooms. And we did a lot of verbal praise and recognition for positive behavior in these last 3 weeks. So as a slide here, example, actually, this is Mrs. Sykes' classroom where students had some fun and creativity with the eagle itself, and they all chose a word, defined some synonyms, identified some synonyms, and then worked through to say, this is what excellence means. These are the actions and these are the words in which we may hear. So they all chose a different word. So I'd be long-winded here, but I just wanted to, as far as school-wide, our initial approach here, first week of school, we all know was very hot. So I want to credit Renee Perron, our school social worker, for connecting PBIS to a school-wide reward system, because the students were just awesome the first week of school. So I'm going to hope Renee's okay with this. I didn't ask her ahead of time, but I just thought this was important to share. So we read this over the intercom Friday afternoon. Thank you all for meeting and exceeding expectations during this first week of school. Not only did you demonstrate the core values of PBIS, respect, responsibility, safety, you did so all the way enduring the stifling heat. Also, staff efforts did not go unnoticed. Your emphasis on prevention and positive modeling is why our students maintain appropriate behaviors and engage to the best of their abilities under the less than desirable circumstances, meaning the heat. So enjoy a cool treat. So we had a team of teachers come down. We bought popsicles. Renee did, I should say. Mr. Sykes and others came down. We prepared them. We delivered them to the classroom. So just kind of an initial step. And then, excuse me here. So our phase 2 is we're moving into, actually tomorrow in the faculty meeting, we're going to be discussing Eagles tickets. We don't accept Bulldog Bucks at the William S. Collins School, but we will have Eagles tickets. And so we're going to begin the process of identifying and rewarding students for their positive behaviors, of catching them being good is kind of what we used to say. And there's a lot of that happening at home. So we're going to do that. They'll have half the ticket. We'll keep half the ticket. We're hoping that students bringing the half of the ticket home will engage in good conversations with parents at home. And then we will do drawings for prizes. So that's kind of our next step here pretty quickly. And then phase 3, I put down one word, and that's Mr. Tager's concept, but really what we're going to begin doing is to highlighting the Eagles acronym week by week. So we're going to start with excellence. We're going to do a short intercom to talk about excellence over the intercom, morning announcements. And then we're going to move into school-wide vote. So having students have some say in recognizing their peers for positive behaviors. So that is our next step. And just to summarize again, we're just going to continue to highlight and reinforce Eagles with students. We're going to work on continue to highlight student recognitions, debrief with faculty about the implementation process, highlight and strengthen communication with parents as we move into phase 2 and 3, and certainly look at data collection that we take on over time. And it really has had a positive impact on our school and our beginning phases. And we're really looking forward to phase 2 and 3 to acknowledge and recognize students for their work. Yes. Mr. Butler.
And thank you. So PBIS, this is our team. It's reconstituted a bit from last year. We had some people step into different roles. The larger membership is still there, just different roles for folks. Last year, it's very similar to the other schools. We focused on common language, and that's our matrix. Actually, we created it early and plastered it all over the school. Our acronym is, of course, RAMS. We have no money associated with our behavior yet, but I'm feeling pressure. So respect for self and others, accountability to time and place, making connections and solving problems responsibly. And our matrix, we didn't favor one by discrete areas. So we hemmed and hawed and collapsed them into within the classroom and then within school. And in the spirit of PBIS, positive behavior, we frame them indicators in terms of positive representations of the things that we want kids to to go after. And was the big conversation to start the year. We have an enviable culture at the high school. There's no question. Schools are talking a lot about ways in which things might have slipped. Good habits have maybe been relaxed, sometimes forgotten. So we wanted to agree on what the good habits we wanted to build in kids as part of the enviable culture, make it simple. One thing that I insisted on, we kicked the year off with, is the matrix appears in all course descriptions and is part of the opening conversation in all classes and advisories. And one thing that we did to systematize PBIS, there's a couple of implementation themes in PBIS, the early level, the intermediate level, and then there's some evidence of value in high schools focusing on implementation as a group, because some of the strands of PBIS play out differently at older grade levels, but we focused on building positive pro-social and pro-academic behaviors, that using consistent language. We talked a lot about consistency of expectations in hallways, things like, headphones, phones. We're dancing this line between devices and those things being, 1/3 productive, 2/3 destructive. And we're trying to kick it back into productivity as they navigate the school day. So that's the matrix. It's out in, as I said, in all course description, and part of the discrete conversations as we opened the school year. So again, framing in pro-social and pro-academic terms, we developed a revised and pared down the expectations rubric. We printed and shared in all the course descriptions, but these are ideas until you give them action, right? So we added an element of within day intervention and support. So mod 7 every day, 20 minutes a day, 100 minutes a week, 60 minutes of that, 3 days is focused on a mod 7 intervention and support study hall, where we're the way we framed it, success managing students. How do you stay on top of your work? How do you solve problems? How do you, access the people that we introduced you to, or you were introduced to at your class meetings? We really expanded the class meetings and put in front of students all the adults in the building by name and with their words, what they do to help them resolve issues, to help them thrive, to help them solve problems, and to help them grow academically and socially. So the PBIS dovetailed with our weekly, another acronym for your SST meetings, where we sit down 2 days a week, Mondays and Wednesdays with a core group, not just these people, but some of them. And we focus on the actual data. Where are students meeting failure? Who are the students that have recurring behavior issues? When we come out of this meeting, we pare down a list of students that we know somebody needs to take direct action on. And we provide to the departments a list of those students who are not thriving academically for reconciliation. So it's at the high school with a larger number of students, larger number of faculty. It's a people business in the sense that you got to organize the action, and that's what our attention has turned to, being consistent, rebuilding that culture through constant reminders and reinforcers and opportunities to receive support as part of their school day and school year.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful, very informative. Thank you all. Member Sword has a question.
Yes, well, no, I have a question. I want to thank all of you. That was the best presentation since the other group 2 weeks ago. And I really appreciate how things are coordinated through the school system. That is great. Thank you.
Other questions? Member Surratt.
Yeah, I also want to thank you for that report. And, I'm a huge proponent of PBIS. It's been around for a long time. It's been around for over 30 years. There's been a ton of studies on it. The research shows that it's very effective at improving school-wide culture and classroom management outcomes. So really happy we're headed in this direction. My only concern, and I'd be interested to hear from others on this, my only concern with PBIS, and this is with any very standardized school-wide systematic program, is, as we know, teaching and working with children is not strictly a science, it's also an art, right? My hope is that someone could speak to, is there some flexibility within the PBIS model as it's being implemented in schools for teachers to sort of put their own spin on how they interact with kids, how they build relationships with kids, how they manage their kids within that model. It's a fine line to walk, and it's a balancing act, but I think it's an important thing to be thinking about, and I'm hoping that you're all thinking about that.
Dan, you want to comment on that? You mind?
Oh, sure, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I think it's an excellent point, and I think that we're gonna remember that whether you have 150 kids in the building or 1,250 kids in the building, that they're all individuals, they're all unique, and they all have a different pathway and how they're gonna access life and engage with us. I think it's critical that we have teacher input specific to the time and place of the year, or whatever year that they have these children, and then we adapt to meet them where they're at. And that might look differently in one classroom in 5th grade at Mary So this year than that same classroom that a collection of kids are going to be in next year. And so that freedom for them to be able to exercise any options or opportunities they have to acknowledge positive behavior or reinforce any behaviors that we want to shape in a different way is I think pretty key. I think a lot of that comes down to the coordinated efforts of our team meetings every week that we meet with our own schools, to the district meetings that we have every quarter with the entire district, and then the training that PBIS gives us multiple times a year. And so it's always, I think, a refinement to find what works for every individual.
I think too, what I saw during your presentation is special ed, social workers guidance. So you have people that really understand that too.
Right. It's a team effort. Exactly. I mean, we have such a gifted staff that it would be ridiculous for us to think that one person has all the answers. So the more feedback we get from families, from kids themselves, from the staff that we have, I think we can actually meet them where they are and push them forward.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you all so much once again. Oh, Member Rendell, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought of it last minute. Could we get copies of those slides, please? And I asked for them from the last presentation and haven't gotten them yet. So if we could get all of them, that would be
Yep, I can do
that would be great, because it's hard to kind of absorb all that. You guys have done a ton of work, and I appreciate it. One other question: when it comes to data collection, I assume it's the teacher who is collecting the data. Can somebody give me a little picture about what that actually looks like in practice? Like, when do you collect the data, and if we could get an example of how you actually use it and how it kind of feeds back into the program, if that's happened yet. I know it's early, so.
I think one of the things that came up, and somebody else can jump in if they want, but the last time we met too is, remember Luciano asked some good questions. So I talked to Christy some after to look at how do we establish a baseline, and we know that there's certain things that are the same across all buildings as far as suspensions and those type of things, or the number of referrals that make it from the classroom to the office. So we're going to look at that data and be able to maybe show you from the year before we started last year to this year. So we're talking about that. I don't want to say something that Christy wasn't thinking, but that was the gist of our conversation.
Thank you all once again. I think we'll move on to a report of reassignment.
Thank you. I'm reporting the following teacher reassignments for the 2023-2024 school year. Rebecca Tower from social worker at 0.5 James F. Dowdy School and 0.5 Fairmount School to special education teacher resource room at Bangor High School. Lindsay Chadbourne from social worker at Abraham Lincoln and 14th Street School, the social worker at Abraham Lincoln and Fruit Street School.
Thank you. Next, we have report of resignations.
I'm reporting the following teacher resignations. Erica Swift, special education teacher, Down East School. Don Beswick, special education teacher, James F. Dowdy School.
Thank you. Next, we move on to business action items. We have minutes for the regular meeting of September 13th, 2023.
I'm recommending approval of the draft minutes of the September 13th, 2023 regular school committee meeting.
Motion, please. So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Passes 7-0.
Next, we have the financial report, the unaudited June 2023 financial report.
I'm recommending committee approval of the unaudited June 2023 financial report.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, or any questions first? No, all in favor.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have personnel and we have the extra duty assignment.
I'm recommending committee approval of extra duty assignments for the school year 2023-2024. Caitlin Dalla, sophomore class advisor, Bangor High School. Justin Jock, sophomore class advisor, Bangor High School. Dan Considine, 0.3 IEP coordinator, Bangor High School. Thomas Leonard, 0.5 IEP coordinator, Bangor High School. David Johnson, 0.25 IEP coordinator, Fairmont School. Joni Buck, 1.75 IEP coordinator, Fairmont School. Abigail Lawrence, 0.5 dramatics advisor, James F. Dowdy School. Nellie Kelly, 0.5 drama advisor, James F. Dowdy School.
Thank you. Motion, please. Oh,
Is the 1.75 a typo?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's a very
What can we
complicated
do?
process.
Okay.
It's based on the number of IEPs that they do.
Okay. All right.
good question.
We never see more than one. That's right.
Evidently, she's doing a lot of IEPs.
Okay, thank you.
Motion, please. So moved. Second. Any other questions? No, seeing none, all in favor.
Passes 7-0.
Next, we have donations by member Sprague.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To Downey School from GE, school supplies and backpacks having a total dollar value of $200. To Downey School from the Charleston Church, backpacks having a total dollar value of $200. To Downey School from Northern Light, classroom snacks having a total dollar value of $200. To Fruit Street School from Christy Perkins, backpacks having a total dollar value of $300. The Vine Street School from Katie Howell and Northern Light, classroom snacks having a total dollar value of $125. The Vine Street School from Anonymous, school supplies and backpacks having a total dollar value of $320. The Abraham Lincoln School from Donald Sawyer, a cash donation for the school garden having a total dollar value of $2,500. To James F. Dowdy School from RC Management, McDonald's for staff members having a total dollar value of $250. To William S. Cohen School from RC Management, McDonald's coupons for staff having a total dollar value of $100. With gratitude, move acceptance of donations.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
7-0.
Thank you so much. And then next we move to committee updates. Any comments and or questions from the committee? Member Surratt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the teacher resignations. I was a little bit troubled to see two additional special education teachers resign, particularly at this time in the school year. And I did a little bit of digging. I looked at August, July, and June school committee meetings, and it were rated about 5 special education teachers that have resigned system-wide over the last 3 months. And look, I understand that the reasons for individuals resigning can be complicated. I myself resigned from a teaching position here in Bangor in 2008, and it was right about this time of year, and it was to take a position as an assistant principal in another district. So I understand we can't get into the reasons why individuals are resigning, but what I want to ask about is, are we asking these individuals who are resigning, are we doing some type of exit interview with them and getting some data and some understanding on what's going on?
Okay, question for you first. You said 5 cents. Did you say June? Go back and look, but I just want to make sure.
I think since June.
Yes, and I know that I received some feedback during my evaluation process, and that's one thing that I am going to do that the school committee asked me about, is to offer a exit interview for all people that leave that are instructional personnel. So I will be doing that, and if I can share out, I can't share out individual, but I can share out patterns that I may hear. So I'll be happy to do that. I know it's a issue, and we started the year off in much better shape than some of the other districts that are our size, but I think we have to be very conscious and protective of our teachers to try to keep them here. So yes, I understand what you're saying. It's a good question, and I will start the exit interview process.
It's great to hear, and if I may, have one other question. I was wondering too, and if you don't have the data right now, it's fine, we could talk about it at another meeting, but do you know if the majority of the 5 that have resigned, would you consider them early career educators, so in year 1 and 2, possibly 3, or would you consider them more mid-career or veteran teachers?
I think a mixture and a variety of reasons, but I do want to sit down with them and I can learn more, but I don't think I could say, that it's just brand new teachers. I think there's some throughout their career. And special ed is a tough job, and you've heard the PBIS report. So we do have some concerns, and we heard from Dr. Rogers. So it's a tough job. That's actually my degree as well. But I know that it's a tough job, but a very rewarding job. So I know that there'll be a variety of reasons, but I will find those out for you.
Thank you.
Great. Sorry.
Oh, member Michelle.
Just to say, Kim, if you're curious, I've actually have a list compiled since December 2021. So let me know. Happy to share my spreadsheet.
Thank you.
Sure.
So I had a question that's a follow-up with that one too. And my concern is obviously getting that data and the feedback from the exit interviews. I think it's really important, and I'm glad that we're doing those now. But also, since we do have so many gaps now, especially in special education, I know Director Bevan's not here tonight, but I would love to kind of know what's being done to kind of fill those voids. And does it impact?
Sure, a variety of things are being done. We have 2 vacancies right now. I know we just did an interview earlier this week, so I'm not sure if we're getting that person or not, but we have some folks that are filling in the buildings too. Like we have a behavior specialist that's filling in. We're kind of shifting some personnel around to make things work. I know Fruit's done a good job. Do you mind, Richard, just kind of mentioning how you've made that work while we're in search of a teacher? So I think Christie's brought a lot of resources together to make this work.
Great question. Good evening. It's really one where it's a team effort. Once we found out we were losing our teacher, Director Babin sent the school psychologist, the BCBA, long-term sub, we put plans together. Support from other teachers across the district came over to really make sure that the structure, routines, and the learning continues. And notify parents, let them know, still have a plan, learning's still gonna go on, and interview process is happening. So not the best way, but the team effort and really the support of Director Babbitt and all the teachers and other principals has been outstanding. So we got a plan in place and moving forward.
The other thing that the board did that's been helpful too is we still, and this will be discussed during budget season, but we still have a full-time sub at every school and 2 at the secondary schools too. So that's proved to be pretty valuable for us too. But we're down to 2 vacancies now. Back to your question, but they're both special ed.
I think this is something that we need to be mindful of during budget season, so. Good to keep in mind. Other question, did you have something else, Member Surratt? Or no?
No, I'm,
Okay, you're.
thanks.
Member Mendel.
Yeah, I just wanted to address Doug's comments and thank you for coming and educating us about this important issue. Can you tell us where we can get the training? And also if we want to pick up more Narcan, where we can get it?
Oh, sure. Is it appropriate to speak, to answer the question?
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's probably better if I reach out. to
Yeah,
Doug.
okay,
I'm
yeah,
happy to
okay.
Do that.
Sorry about that.
Just so we don't set a
Sure.
precedent.
And I appreciate that, but I hope that we can all engage somewhat
Absolutely.
because Jim is terrific, but I like to know that others are seeing the messages and having their own thoughts and giving some feedback.
I'll reach out to you on this. I know we've talked prior, we've met before, but I also, if you want us to look at that particular legislation, that's something we should do at a future meeting.
Yeah, I was gonna follow up with that LB 13, 15. That it also, I wasn't aware of that law. So I'm grateful that Mr. Dunbar brought it to us. And I'd like to know how we're gonna fulfill that, given that it requires, substance use education every year for secondary schools. So and my take is that we're not doing that now. Is that?
So we'll review at an October meeting, the law, and I can tell you exactly where we're at. We can do that in October, if that's okay with the
Perfect.
school committee. Okay.
Thank you.
And I'll come back. Maybe again and again.
Yeah, and I know Director Babin has communicated back and forth some of the things that we're doing, but I agree. Okay, any other comments, Member Luciano?
I just wanted to thank Mr. Corninger and the Fruit Street PTO for the really fantastic fall fair. Is easily the nicest fair I've been to in Maine so far. So thank you very much. It was great, and it was an enormous effort. So thank you.
Other questions or comments? Okay, do we have any representatives reports? I don't, oh, maybe just UTC?
Yes,
The only one.
UTC. Yeah, normally they meet the first Thursday of every month, but just because school started and they were getting settled in, it was postponed to last Thursday, the 21st. So UTC is rolling along nice and smoothly. Their enrollment has dropped down because some kids went for 1 or 2 days and decided it wasn't their thing. So the enrollment is now at 765. And UTC is very proactive. They have a planning committee already to expand out there. They've already contacted an architectural firm to help them develop plans and send it down to the state within the next 6 months. So they are growing fast. All right, and also the plans for adding the 9th and 10th exploratory programs to the high school is going very well. Bangor starts, I believe, next year. And their plan is to add 2 or 3 a year until every high school that sends to UTC has that 9th and 10th program from the state grant they have involved. And also UTC is the first CTE center in Maine to get qualifications for an EMS training program center approved right at UTC. It'll be right out there. So it's the first one. I thought that was great.
Thank you.
Yep.
For the update. I don't believe we have any others until we kind of shift things after the election. And Member Dussablon is not here today. So we move on to information items. Several important dates. Thursday, October 12th, 2023, we have a regular meeting, 7 p.m. here in council chambers. Wednesday, October 25th, 2023, another regular meeting, 7 p.m. council chambers. Monday, November 13th, 2023, we do have that reorganizational meeting, 11 a.m. here in council chambers. Wednesday, November 15th, 2023 is our board training workshop, 5:30 p.m. in council chambers. And Wednesday, November 15th, 2023, another regular meeting, 7 p.m. council chambers. Final call for questions and or comments, Member Chandra.
I like to just end with a feel-good moment. I know that we all love to hear from our colleagues up here, but my favorite part is hearing from all of you when you have great reports. So thanks again for the PBIS information. And just to note, as we were talking about the special education staffing problems, I think you said we're not doing, maybe it's not the best option. I think you are doing the best option you have, which is to work as a team to make sure the kids are well taken care of. So try not to minimize all the hard work that you're doing when we do have gaps, because it's impressive. And I think that we need to recognize that teamwork is essential when we're moving through those gaps. So we appreciate you all, and I just want to thank you again.
Well said, thank you. Any other comments, questions? No, okay, adjournment, can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, discussion, all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay.